This week, we wanted to show you how to make Chinese stocks, starting off with a simple home-style stock called Maotang, using scraps and leftovers, then going to a nicer Cantonese stock called Shangtang, and finally finishing up with a super clear Shandong stock called Diaotang, which is basically the Chinese equivalent of a consommé. With our simple Maotang, we're just using one chicken carcass and about an equal amount of leftover pork backbones that were lying around from last week's video. See, while Western stocks usually use just one protein, Chinese stocks tend to combine them. We'll also be adding in a touch of pork loin too, which will help absorb some of the impurities of the stock. Give all those a rinse under running water for 10 minutes. That rinse will help make the stock a touch clearer and give it a cleaner flavor. Once rinsed, toss it all in cool water and start bringing it up to a boil. Quick note that some people like to add in a touch of aromatics here, nothing like the tray of veg that goes into Western stocks, but we prefer stocks that isolate the flavor of the meat. Now, as it's coming up, start to skim the guy and remove those impurities. Then put it at a heavy simmer, uncovered, and let it cook for 3 hours till it reduces by half. 3 hours later, strain the stock. It's clearer than when we started, but nothing fancy. This stuff would work in most recipes.
So Maotang is a very good everyday stock. You can use it in sauces, for example, like mapo tofu or the sanxian sauce for the guoba dishes.
Next up, Cantonese Shangtang or superior stock. This stock's made from equal parts old chicken, here we got half a bird, pork loin, so here that's 500 grams, and the bones from Chinese Jinhua ham. We figured that these ham bones would probably be a bit difficult to come by, so instead we'll use 85 grams Jinhua ham together with 400 grams pork backbone. That extra pork bone's totally optional, but you might have gathered that we're a bit obsessive here on this channel, so you can give the bones a quick blanch in boiling water for 3 minutes, drain, and once cool, move to a pot with the other ingredients. Rinse all those under running water for 10 minutes, then toss in a pot with about 8 liters of water, heat on, and bring to a boil. As it's coming to a boil, you'll notice that it's still super cloudy at this point. Don't panic, trust the process. Do a bang-up job skimming, and then let that go at a medium simmer for 5 to 6 hours till it reduces by half. 5 hours later, you can see that the lean porks absorb like most of our impurities. Strain the stock, and now you've got some Cantonese Shangtang.
So Shangtang, it's a tasty stock that's easy to make. You can use it in classic Cantonese dishes like abalone and sea cucumber. You could also use it in stir-fry sticky rice.
Lastly, Diaotang. It's a little involved to get this stuff crystal clear, but in my opinion, the method is easier than like a French consommé is. We'll be using some old chicken again, so a half a bird or a touch over 500 grams, some pork bones, again, this is 500 grams of backbone, some old duck, here a quarter of a bird or about 250 grams with much of the skin removed, and one large pork rib, which is about 250 grams. I should note that the traditional Shandong version uses knuckle instead of rib, but the knuckle we got at our local market's a bit too fatty for this soup. Now, if you can't find old chicken or duck, you can still move forward, but the biggest thing is that young birds are a bit too fatty. So if that's the case, really go at it trimming off the excess fat and getting rid of most of the skin, and you should be okay. So, as you could probably guess by now, give those a rinse under cool water for 10 minutes. Toss in 8 liters water, bring to a boil, skim it to remove impurities, and put it in a medium simmer for 5 to 6 hours till reduced by half. Again, this will be cloudy at first, just trust the process. 5 hours later, remove your ingredients and give it a couple minutes to cool slightly. To clarify this guy, we're using pastes made from lean pork and chicken meat. So take 200 grams chicken breast, give it a fine dice, and toss in a blender with a half a cup of stock or water and pulse till pasty. Do the same with 200 grams of pork loin, and we can do this. So now gently add your pork loin paste into the stock, turn up the heat, and let it come to a light boil. Stir it slowly to make sure that the meat's not sticking to the bottom. These will start to float. Skim out some of the excess impurities, and then move that cooked meat onto a tofu or cheesecloth. Then let it cool slightly, and do the same with the chicken breast. The pork loin's bloodier, so it'll do a better job sucking up the larger impurities, while the chicken breast will suck up the smaller ones. Same deal, once floating, do a quick skim and toss it into the cloth. So now take that cloth, wrap it real tight, and dip it back into the soup. Let that lightly simmer for a half an hour. It'll infuse the remaining flavor into the soup and also attract a bit more impurities that you can skim. After that half hour, squeeze out any remaining soup out of your little ball, strain through a tofu or cheesecloth, and now you've got some Chinese consommé.
So Diaotang, this is sometimes used in Chinese royal cuisines and some very delicate dishes. For example, you can use this to make lion's head meatballs. You can make it into a version with very clear stock without soy sauce or oyster sauce. Or you can just drink it directly. So we use a lot of meat in making stocks. Obviously, don't toss them. What we like to do is shred the chicken and put them in noodle soups. Now for the pork, because lean pork is a little bit tougher, what we like to do is making it into pig floss. What you can do is shred the pork into strings, fry it in a pan with a little bit of oil, season it with salt, sugar, and soy sauce. When it's slightly golden brown, rub it with your hand, and then you have pig floss. So check out the red link in the description box for detailed recipe. A big thank you for everyone that's supporting us on Patreon. And of course, subscribe for more Chinese cooking videos.